Cora Jakes-Coleman comes from a prestigious family that in no way overshadows her own gifts and talents. Cora serves as the Executive Director of Destiny House Children's Ministry at the Potter's House of Dallas, where she's able to impact the lives of children and teach them the importance of Christ. She's not only a spiritual mother, she's also a mother to Amari and Jason, as well as a loving wife to Brandon. Her fertility faith blog has helped change lives. Her writing has encouraged women and families that are suffering from infertility.
I am speaking fertility faith and speaking life into the infertile being so that we can begin to produce our dreams and produce our promises no matter what our fear is.
Cora is a dynamic, down-to-earth preacher who captures God's heart with her prayers and inspires her audience to faith it with her pen, her prayer, and her platform. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cora Jakes-Coleman.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so glad you decided to start your Monday off with me because I decided to start my Monday off with you. And remember, we are turning our Mondays into Message Mondays, not Miserable Mondays, not Messy Mondays, but Message Mondays. And today I want to talk about motherhood, the transitioning mother. It actually works out perfect because this morning I dropped my son off at daycare and he speaks very well for a 22-month-old. And so I dropped him off and I gave them his food so that he could eat breakfast. And when we were sitting there talking, the director of the daycare said, you know, he'll be transitioning to the older class. We're going to start sending him over there for a couple of hours just to get him started, and then we'll take him back to his classroom. And I got a little teary because kids, like, really, they grow up so fast. Like, I swear last week he was 2 months old. Like, I swear last week he was 2 months old. And now he's about to be 2, and he's going to the 2-year-old classroom, and he's about to start potty training and things of that nature. But I thought that it was really cool because they don't just drop him into class. Like, they don't just say, okay, you're 2 years old now, here you go, there you are, you're in the class. But they do a transitioning period. They let them feel what that class is going to be like for a little bit, and then they bring them back to themselves. And I feel like that's a lot like what God does with us. He lets us experience where he wants to take us for a little bit, and then he may bring us back so that we can produce what he's showing us, the view that he's giving us, the vision that he's giving us. And so I, as a transitioning mother, I try to make sure that whatever they're doing at school, that I am mimicking at home as well, whether it be his teaching or the way they speak to him, or if he's drinking out of regular cups, then he drinks out of regular cups at home. If he is feeding himself at school, then he's feeding himself at home, and different things of that nature, allowing him to experience transition, allowing him to experience the growing pains. And it's important for us to be able to do that. And so my message today is let your baby transition. Mommies, daddies, I know it's tough. I know you want to keep them in their own little spot, but it's time for them to grow. It's time for them to develop. It's time for them to start moving. And for some of you, I may be talking about your actual child. For some of you, I may be talking about your book. I may be talking about your business. I may be talking about your shop. I may be talking about your car. Whatever you deem, as your vision and as your baby, you have to let it grow. You have to let it develop. And then you have to be the person that nurtures that development, that nurtures that seed, that nurtures them to the way that they need to go. And so I'm sitting and I'm saying bye to him. I look at him and I say, okay, Peanut, well, I love you. And he says, love you. And I said, have a good day. And he said, good day. And I said, bye-bye. And he said, bye-bye, Mommy. And the director was like, oh, he should have been in that class months ago. And again, it hit me that you may be prepared to go to the next level, but you still need transition. You may be prepared and ready to go to the next level, but there's still a transitioning time that happens. You may have gone through the process and now you're prepared, but there is still a transition that happens. So now we're leaving from the process and going into that transition to where you're at the door. And now you're about to go into the room. And so now you get to assess the room, you get to evaluate the room, you get to experience the room. And you have to transition into where you're about to be, who you're about to be, what you're about to do in life. And it's very important that you allow yourself that transitioning time, because if you abruptly jump into something that you've never experienced, that you've never known, that you never operated in before, then you'll get something prematurely that you don't know how to take care of, that you don't know what you're supposed to do, and you end up falling before you get a chance to stand. And so I think that if you allow yourself, not only as parents to let your kids transition, but you as yourself and your gift and in your purpose, that you yourself allow yourself to transition, and don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself or so anxious to go to the next level that you miss a step, or that you miss a teaching time, or that you miss a training time. My father got to see me preach a full sermon for the first time a couple Sundays ago, and he told me that he was studying me. He was studying me so that he could teach me what I needed to learn that I didn't know already. He didn't say that I didn't have the gift. He didn't say that I wasn't ready to preach. He didn't say that it wasn't time for me to preach. He said that he wanted to polish what I already had. He wanted to transition me into a higher place. And so don't accept constructive criticism as just criticism. Look for it. Look for constructive criticism. Look for positive affirmation, but also look for people who are trying to tell you how you can be better. People who are trying to tell you this is the next level that you're going to be on. So this is the things that I can do to help you get to that next level. Don't shy away from people who are trying to get you to a place that you've never been before. I always say, if you cannot glean up, you can't expect to teach down. My father was preaching that: glean up, teach down, stretch out. But if you're not willing to glean up, if you're not willing to be taught by a teacher, if you're not willing to make your gift the best gift that it can be, then you can't expect to tell other people to be gleaning up to you. You can't expect to tell other people to listen to what you have to say, and you don't have an ear to hear your teacher. You don't have an ear to hear your leader. You don't have the ability or the willingness to be taught. And so it's very, very important that you have a heart to be taught, a heart to transition, so that you can get to the treasure. So taught, transition, treasure. Our 3 T's today. It is important that you are not only the teacher, but that you are willing to be taught, that you are not afraid of transition, that change is a necessary development for us all that we must go through. So don't be afraid of transition. Figure out the things that you need to figure out so that you transition well. And then treasure. When you've gone through the teaching, when you've gone through the transition, you're actually in the class now. You get to be a student. You get to learn all of the things that it's meant for you to learn in that class. You get to go to the next level and the next level and the next level, and you get to watch yourself develop into really great, successful fruit. It's okay, mommies and daddies. Our babies have to be trained up in the way that they should go, so that when they get old, they do not depart from it. And so it's important that we do that training. It's important that we allow transition. It's important that we allow training. I know that I wish I had a pause button. I wish I did. But I am excited to say that my almost 2-year-old can talk in full sentences. I'm excited to say that my almost 2-year-old can carry a conversation with me and tell me their needs and tell me his needs and his wants. because of the way that I've been teaching him. And so I'm going to pray today that God would make a teacher out of you, and that God would help you to be teachable. So God, I pray that you would put the teacher in us, but that you would always put the student in us, God. I pray that you would set our feet aflame, that we would run towards what we need to run towards so that we can be better in you, that our gifts can be powerful in you, and that our children can be powerful in you. Touch our kids, God. Touch their brains, touch their brain cells, touch their development, touch their bodies. Heal every sickness, heal every disease, God. Help them to become who you've called them to be, and help us to be the teachers that train them up into that thing that you have called. I pray, God, that your treasures be great amongst us, and that you would allow us to be able to be treasures to our treasures. And I thank you, God, for all that you're going to do, all that you've already done. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, that we pray these things. It is so, and so it is. Amen. Until next week, guys, I'm loving you, and I'm loving your transition. Hey, this is Cora Jakes-Coleman, and you've been watching Message Monday. Thank you for watching. Be sure to connect with me on all of my social media at C. Jakes-Coleman. Love you.